two core principles that are operating at the same time. We have this notion, we speak about community and the idea of the collective well-being. And so governments exist purportedly for that purpose, right? And yet we also are a society that's very much rooted in individual competition and success. And the notion is that government will be in that place to mediate that, so that the public interest isn't so undermined, and where you see capital interest just running the roost. Well, unfortunately, in my lifetime, since the 70s, what happened to working people in general is that the balance of power between capital and labor skewed so heavily towards capital, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Only now, after this mass death event, which we're still in the midst of in terms of the pandemic, are we seeing a reconsideration in a profound way of that balance of power, where labor's getting just a little bit of leverage, because while we've lost 630,000 people, many of them essential workers, who died as a consequence that they had no choice but to work out in the environment. And so now there's a reckoning. But all before that period of time, what happened, if you look at it, and there's a lot of economic data, and it's all in the book, you'll see Economic Policy Institute, Department of Labor data. There was a tremendous amount of wealth generated through technology, and productivity soared. Individual workers, the kind of wealth we could create for people and for entities that own corporations, just was unparalleled. There was no sharing of that wealth. And so what we saw was, we were sold when we were kids in the textbooks of tomorrow that we'd have fly around in cars that could fly in space like the Jetsons, and our big problem would be leisure time. That's not what happened. What ended up happening was wealth concentrated incredibly. The ability of individuals to get a standard of living was under tremendous pressure. And so we actually saw incomes decline or remain flat. And what happened was, we were offered consumer credit instead. We were offered all kinds of ways, second, third mortgages while you wait. And in essence, we fooled ourselves. We were living in that middle-class lifestyle that hit those halcyon days of the 50s, when in reality, we were running up so much debt, and we're running further and further behind. This came to an explosion where it became a kind of extortion racket, where we told our young people, hey, if you want to succeed and be a pillar of society, you're going to go to college. And in the process, they took on hundreds of billions of dollars of debt, and we did not have an economy that could sustain them, nor the debt load they needed to pay back. And so all of that is coming due now. And then at the same time, as if we weren't stuck enough, we had this tremendous expenditure in military spending. And it's one of the things that Dr. King really was seeing a connection between the deferred social agenda, the growth of the poor, and the neglect of low income and low wealth individuals, as the military investment just surged. And so that's the other thing that's happened, is and it's kind of a bipartisan thing. No one steps back, with the occasional exception of a Bernie Sanders or an AOC, and observes that we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on weapons we hope we don't use, on borrowed money, by the way. Meanwhile, we can't secure the capital from our own citizens. And that's such an awful truth that we don't hear a discussion of it, that it's because our media missed it and our politics missed it. But that's where we are, and that's why we're a stuck nation.